I'm Al McFarlane. Welcome to the Conversation with Al McFarlane. Today, you're going to be treated to the annual or the December 7th meeting of Hawthorn Huddle, Hawthorne Neighborhood Council's neighborhood meeting going into its 27th year. This program is special. It includes a presentation by Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board Superintendent Al Bangora. It includes an update on health from the Minneapolis Health Department, talking about COVID and RSV, the dangers that lie ahead. It also includes a safety report, crime in the neighborhood in North Minneapolis from the 4th Precinct. It also includes awards, neighborhood heroes. Stay tuned, you'll enjoy it.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Diana Hawkins, and I would like to welcome you to our December Celebration Huddle. I am very pleased to announce that next month, when we come back, the huddle will turn 27 years old. So that's a great accomplishment for us. I am so pleased to be one of the co-founders of this group, and I'm just hoping and praying that we can go maybe 20 more years. I have my good friends, Miss Ann DeGrew, who is my co-host, Mr. Clarence Jones, and Mr. Al McFarlane with me this morning. And before we begin, I would like to know if Ann or Al or Clarence has any welcoming remarks they would like to say.
Well, I think I'm pretty dependable in saying this. I applaud you for getting up at 7:30 in the morning and earlier. It's great to see such wonderful people and know that these are people in the community that are actually doing the work, and I appreciate it.
I just want to say too, good morning to everybody and happy anniversary to the Huddle. I think some of you may not know, but the Huddle's been around now for 27 years, Diana. Am I right on the, yeah. Yes. So, and to Diana, who has really held this together a lot, most of the time that it's been around. So she's a founder of it as well, but good morning. It's nice to see everyone.
And I simply will echo those comments. Congratulations. Good morning to all. And it's amazing. What I love about this is this organization, this community gathering is the epitome of community building, community serving, of focusing on and sticking to the business of community. So I think 20 more years is appropriate, Diana.
Thank you. Well, I'm looking forward, I hope everybody else is. Well, I'm not going to take up too much time because we have a great program. We got some great honorees, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Clarence right now to get us started.
Thank you. And I thank you for saying what a wonderful job that Diana has done, but also what a wonderful job you've done in terms as well. And so we appreciate you. But I think I'd like to just ask now that Louisa is the person on the agenda from the city of Minneapolis to talk us and to give us an update on the COVID and health.
Good morning, everyone, and happy to be here. So, and I wish I had better news, but we are in the midst of respiratory illness season, and we are seeing hospitalizations increase slightly for all, and we're speaking in hospitalizations because testing, for COVID, for flu, for RSV, it doesn't happen regularly, so we don't get as much information. So hospitalizations are a good barometer of what we're seeing, and we're seeing hospitalizations increase slightly for COVID, for flu, and for RSV. So for all of them, our hospitalizations rates are increasing. We're also seeing increasing wastewater activity for COVID. So wastewater surveillance is a newer, wastewater surveillance has been done for many things, but for COVID, it really has become one of the better barometers because, everybody uses the restroom and we shed virus in that way. And it's not dependent on people getting tested or, and so we have seen over the last couple of weeks, the numbers, the proportion of virus in wastewater increase steadily. And it's, not unexpected. We tend to see a wave around the end of, beginning of winter, middle of winter, as people get together, as we're indoors, as we're, just it's a seasonal thing. So just a good reminder to continue, if you're going to be in large crowds, to maybe mask. It helps with RSV, it helps with influenza, it helps with COVID. To if you're going to be visiting your relatives that maybe are have health issues or more immunocompromised, to maybe test before you do that. You may not have any symptoms, but still be able to pass, infection. And if you're not feeling well, if you're sneezing and coughing or just not feeling well, to try to stay home and keep everybody safe. So we are continuing with the health department. We are continuing our monthly vaccination clinics with the Mother's Love and with the Family Partnership. Mother's Love on the north side, Family Partnership on the south side. We have the Family Partnership just happened this past Tuesday. It's the first Tuesday of the month, and then Mother's Love, I believe it's the third Tuesday of the month, maybe. I'd have to look, but it's on our website. And I hope everybody, we won't see you till next year. Hope you have healthy and safe holidays. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I've put my email in the chat. So thank you, and thank you for having me over the last year, and I hope to continue being able to provide information to you guys on a regular basis.
Luisa, I'd like to ask a question.
Go for it,
I
Clarence.
just had my fifth COVID shot, and I'm wondering how. I mean, what's the plan, or what's the pattern for us? Is this going to be once every 6 months, or what are we thinking?
I think that we're thinking that it's going to become kind of like the flu, an annual shot, as they look at, the variants and how they change. It seems to be that the variants that are showing up for COVID are not quite as different. So the difference between the different variants, it's still, they're all in the same family, meaning that the shots that they've developed should protect you, provide you some level of protection. But just like with influenza, they have to change the vaccine slightly every year to accommodate the type, the variants that are circulating that year. And I'm thinking, what we're thinking is that with COVID, as it settles in, it's going to be a similar thing. So it might be an annual updated shot along with the flu. The timing of it, I'm not sure, because COVID has been interesting in that it appears to have two peaks. So there's often a couple of waves throughout the year, and one of them is in the summer, which is unusual for respiratory illness. We had one last summer. We had one, the previous. So it's every year it appears to have two sorts of waves. So I'm thinking it's going to be we're going to move to a yearly shot, but, don't know yet what's going to happen. And some of the vaccine is still, they've been trying to adjust it. And so this last version, was looking at the Omicron variant, which seems to be where most of the variants are now coming out. The family of variants is within that. So hopefully that will mean that we can maintain some protection. And if they do come back and, continue to do yearly vaccines, that will be helpful. But, with COVID, we still have so much to learn. That is just, anyone that says anything with certainty is not, is not really telling you the truth, because there's still so much that we don't quite understand.
Diana?
I got a question, Louisa. Now, what about this RSV? Because I know that's up on the rise now too, and I'm starting to hear mono is sparking up.
Well, RSV, we always see some seasonality to it. And last year, we actually saw rates that were much higher than normal. We do have a vaccine for RSV now. It's not recommended for everyone, but it is recommended for the groups that are more susceptible to RSV and where we see the highest number. So if you're over 60, having a conversation with your provider about getting the RSV vaccine, if you are immunocompromised, or if you have a young child, or are in the last months of your pregnancy. So if you have a young child for whom this would be the first RSV season, they're recommending the vaccine. Mono, we don't keep track, though that's not a disease that is reportable. So we don't really keep track, but you often see pockets of it within college students, within high school students, depending, because of the way it's transmitted, and it is, if you have a few cases, you're likely to have a little pocket, but we don't have any statistics on that, so I can't really speak to whether we're seeing more numbers or less numbers, because we don't keep that's not one that we keep track of.
Does anyone else? I have two other questions for you real quick, but does anyone else have a question for Louisa? Okay. All right. So the two questions for me. One is the status of seniors during this period. And the second thing that I think that might be of interest to this group might be this thing called long-term COVID. We'd have some conversations about that. So
So, seniors, we are seeing, the hospitalizations, the deaths that we're seeing for COVID, for other, for respiratory illness, our seniors are more susceptible. And that's, we are seeing that, which is usually unfortunately, it is the trends are usually that those that are 65 and older are more susceptible to these conditions and more likely to have severe disease, even if they've been vaccinated. So we are definitely seeing that hospitalizations are higher among that age group. And so, so if you're going to be visiting folks that are older, that are more susceptible, that taking precautions just makes sense. And during this time of year, when we're all getting together with families and celebrating, if you have young kids and you have seniors in your family, then adding a little extra layer of protection won't hurt, and it just will help maybe keep everybody healthier. In terms of long COVID, I think that's something, again, that we don't know all of it yet. But there's definitely, the more times you have COVID, the more susceptible you are to having long COVID. It does seem that some of the, some people, there's some information that seems to show that having been vaccinated offers some protection, not just for COVID, but also for the possibly developing long COVID. If you are infected, it offers some protection for developing long COVID. They're looking at, are there susceptibilities? At one point, it did look like women might be a little more susceptible to long COVID than men. But I think, again, that is one where research needs to happen. I know the state health department has a group that is looking at that. And part of it, the challenge is often it's a diagnosis of exclusion. So meaning that when someone is not, is having all these issues, clinicians will first try to look for things that they know what it is, right? So often they arrive at long COVID as a diagnosis of exclusion when they've excluded all these other possibilities. And so part of that is trying to also come up with a definition for what is long COVID so that we can keep track of it. So the state health department is doing some work in it. I know that we've been talking about it. But again, it's an area where just so much more needs to be talked through. And it appears that for some people, they develop some of those symptoms, but then eventually they recover, and other folks have not been able to recover and have been suffering for years. So what is it that allows you to recover versus not? So what are some of those pieces that, protective factors or whatnot, genetics that may be changing between people, and that may allow for some development of treatments and better diagnostic tools. I don't know if that answers. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean,
there's
and
a
I
lot.
think
There's a lot. Yeah.
it's a conversation that will have to be ongoing, because as much as we know about COVID, there's so much that we don't know.
Right. I just recently had somebody tell me that there's more than 200 symptoms with long COVID. So, I mean, so we need to be looking at that. But thank you very much for that. And so next we're going to have Bill with the safety report. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Morning, everyone. So for Hawthorne, for the month of November for Part 1 crimes, and I'll remind everyone of Part 1 crime is anytime there's a victim involved in a crime, so the more serious ones. There was 0 homicides, there was 2 rapes, 3 robberies, 25 aggravated assaults, 1 burglary, 9 thefts, 13 motor vehicle thefts, 0 arsons, for a total of 53 Part 1 crimes for the month of November. One of the things I like to say is that those motor vehicle thefts, they're not all Hondas and Kias. What we're noticing now is an uptick in the open ignition thefts, and those are the things that when it gets colder weather out, people want to have a tendency to go out there, warm their cars up, leave the keys in them, and then somebody comes along and takes your car. So we've seen an increase in those. So that's kind of contributed to those 13 motor vehicle thefts. There are a few Hondas and Kias in there, of course, but we're seeing an uptick in those open ignition thefts. Last week, I sent a flyer out just warning the community out there, everyone in the community, all my neighborhoods, about the aspects of that, and not to do that anymore. With the advent of these newer technologies in the vehicles, we don't really need to do it anymore, because you go out there and you're not going to spend more than 5 minutes basically in a cold car, because it's going to heat up pretty quickly. So we just try to discourage that so they don't lose their cars. And then I also like to let everyone know that on Saturday, December 16th, the 4th is holding a block leader training for the community. That's going to be from 11 to 1 in our community room, if anybody's interested. And there's a flyer if anybody wants one too, I can send it out. Does anybody have any questions for me?
I'm hearing none. Thank you, Bill, very much for that report. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next thing on the agenda is, there is a report from Human, and we are very excited as always to be a part of the Hawthorne. But we're going to be having a harm reduction conversation on December the 11th at the Center for Changing Lives. I'm going to send out a flyer about that, and it's going to give us the opportunity to talk about what is harm reduction, because that was a very, very interesting conversation that I think that our community needs to have. And so that's all I want to say about Human. Diana, did you have something you want to say? She listening to me?
Not yet.
Oh, that's it. Okay. All right. With that, then, the next thing is that we're going to be honoring those who make us better. And so with that, that's Ann and Diana, I believe.
So everybody knows that this is my favorite part of the meeting. So if you have your camera on, out of respect for the honorees, we ask that you turn it on. And I think that Mr. Sean is up first, right, Ann?
Yes,
Okay.
I am. I'll go
Okay,
ahead.
Mr. Sean.
Yeah, so our first honoree is Yvette Griffith Gray. And I think about the first time I met Yvette, we would take the express bus in South Minneapolis along 46th Street to the U of M. And we would have casual conversations, and there were other people that were in that cluster group. Our new appointed superintendent, Lisa Sells Adams was part of that group. And then, she went her way professionally, I went my way. And then when I joined the Parks Foundation in 2022, I bumped into her at North Commons. I remember saying, I know you. And ever since then, I think she knows that I've been a constant presence at that park, trying to get an understanding of how that park functions. And Yvette has been a powerhouse in terms of running that park, managing the staff, managing the coaches, organizing events. One recent event that just blows me away that she was involved with the Y, which is just across the street on the northern part of North Commons, was that they had so many people together for a back to school event, and they had distributed over 800 backpacks and school supplies, which was just incredible. And that was just one of the things that was happening at the park. You know, North Commons is a very big park, approximately 9 blocks, about 25.5 acres. So there's a lot of things that can happen simultaneously. And her working with the Y and organizing other people in the community, not only were people in the rec center getting backpacks, but they were outside in the pools, they were outside playing in the basketball courts, they were enjoying food, you know, at the picnic area next to the park. And inside the park, well, I was blown away that, you know, in positioning young people and getting ready for school, you have to, part of feeling good is looking good, and she helped organize and work with barbers in the communities to offer free haircuts. And it wasn't just one barber, it wasn't just 2 barbers, it wasn't just 3 barbers, but 4 barbers. And so you had a DJ playing music in that area, you had a double dutch going on outside of the park, and then you had music around in the picnic area, and then you had community resources available. So Yvette is not one to brag about herself, and I found out recently that she is an artist. She's likes to take photography pictures as well, and she has an Instagram page. So a lot of parks are often shaped by their leadership in rec centers, and so it is with great pride and pleasure that I've been excited to introduce Yvette Griffith-Gray and her being recognized, because I think what Hawthorne does, what no one does, is that you recognize those people who may not get the attention that, you know, the usual folks that do. And so I'm proud that she's receiving this award.
We want Yvette to say a few words, please.
Good morning, everyone. I'm just really humbled by this. I was so surprised to get the email about this award. I'm definitely, as Sean mentioned, I'm a behind the scenes person. So just being up front and being in this kind of position usually makes me a little shy. But I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate all your kind words, Sean. And also, like, you don't ever really get into youth work. You're not thinking about awards or anything like that. For me, there was a teenager, like an older teenager, that took me to King Park when I was a little kid and would watch me swim in the kiddie pool. And I remember one day on the way home from the pool, she, in my mind, I said, she could be doing anything else with her time, and she is choosing to spend her time with me. And in my mind, that made me feel so special. I said, when I grow up, her name was Jamie. When I grow up, I'm going to be a Jamie. I'm going to help kids feel special too. And so really that's been kind of my driving force in terms of youth work and just wanting to be a presence in the community. And so, yeah, I'm just really humbled and thankful and grateful for the work that I get to do every day. So thank you. Thank you for this award. I appreciate you all.
You are so welcome. I think we need to give her a round of applause. I want to say this, though, before we move forward, Mr. LB, I know you have to be very pleased of the honoree that we have here today, because it's almost like each one is attached to you some kind of way. Mr. Clarence, I think you're up next.
I am up, and I am Mrs. Sloan. I want to tell you that you have been identified as a treasure in our community. It's a great honor. It was quite interesting to me. I know about La Crèche. I think it's La Crèche, the La Crèche Center. I've known about it for years and years. And it was interesting as I was trying to find out some things about you. There's not a whole lot about you out there, but within people's hearts, there's a lot of joy and a lot of pleasure and a lot of great things that you have done. And so we're very honored as Hawthorne, as has been said a little bit earlier, we're very honored that you are part of our community, that you are helping our community. And so we wanted to make sure that today that you knew that and know that people are watching you and people are appreciating you and people are valuing you and your work. I know that you also work for PICA. I know that our children love you. And And we're looking forward to that day when they will be able to express that for themselves in another meeting just like this. And so we want to thank you, Ms. Sloan, for the work that you've done in our community. And we want you to know that we stand with you in these efforts. So,
Miss-
is Ann going to show the?
I think she's looking for.
I messed up showing the beautiful plaque of LaCrèche's logo and of Phyllis Sloan, but I just want to say something. We work with
Okay.
Phyllis all the time. I love working with Phyllis Sloan. She is indeed a treasure, and she is very modest. But it was great to have you here, Phyllis. Good to see you.
So you don't have it, Ann? Do I need to resend it to you? Oh, okay. So while
Okay,
Miss Sloan is talking, we'll wait for Ann to put her
Yeah.
plaques up. Miss Phyllis, can we hear from you?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, everybody. As Yvette said, I guess, there's no words for working in our community, for living in our community, for watching children grow in our community. And I know all of you know that. And so to receive this acknowledgement from you means a lot, because I believe we're all guardians of our community. And I think it's what our children consistently need. And certainly our families, that extra support at a time when, it's
And let's hope, you guys, that I didn't mess this up. I am so sorry. I am really, really sorry. But Mr. Al, thank you for doing that. And you have the privilege of we're gonna tag team this here next young lady because she's so good, okay?
Well,
I'm gonna let you go first.
You start and I'll.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go first. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have the privilege of honoring Miss Kim Ellison. Kim is like family. Our kids know one another. We've been around one another for a while, work with her. She's real passionate, about addressing the achievement gap. And she's a firm believer that building relationships with students is key to their success. Kim likes bike riding. She likes to go swimming. But most of all, she likes spending time with her kids. This is the Kim Ellison that I know. I know there's an activist, I know there's a school board person, but this is the family member that I know. So Mr. Al, I'm gonna let you have the next one.
I'm gonna take it straight from there as well. I know Kim as a family person, as an exemplary mom, and a loving mom, and a mom who dotes attention on her children. But I believe that the same attention she has given her children, she's given to all of our children, to the children of Minneapolis through her service and leadership as a teacher, as a swimming teacher, as a coach, and as a director for the Minneapolis School Board. And I have always marveled at how the family that she created is super productive in every realm. And so for that, and she is as well. That's the point. It's not her stepping back for all of them. She and they together exemplify what community building and what power is in community. Power in terms of being accountable, being upfront, stepping forward, and taking responsibility for creating a future in which our people can win. So Kim, it's always a pleasure to see you, and this is an honor that you so richly deserve. And congratulations, Kim.
Wow.
We get you to say a few words, Ms. Kim.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. I too was deeply honored and humbled when I received the notice that I would be honored here this way today. And it's hard for me to take this in like this. Because I'm a humble, kind of quiet, I like to be kind of behind the scenes, but I got it from my mother. And everything I am is because of her. When I was born, she was an elementary school teacher, which is not why I ended up in education. As a matter of fact, I kind of fought it for a while because, when you have to make a decision about what you want to do for the rest of your life, late teens, early 20s, when you're in college, the last thing I wanted to be was my mom. And she was a teacher, but everything I went into, I became a lifeguard and started coaching, teaching swim lessons, had children, gotten very involved in their preschool learning, and decided that that's something I wanted to do, but not with the young kids, the older kids. So education has been in my life, like my whole life, and I don't know what else to do. And yes, I just love loving on all children, everybody. Everybody deserves it. All children deserve that, to know that they're important, because they are. And so thank you for this honor. And as I look around and see all the people on here, I'd be honored if I could come back in every other month or so and just share what's going on with Minneapolis School District. As Sean mentioned, we just voted on to place our permanent superintendent as Dr. Lisa Sales Adams, who some of you may know is the niece of our former mayor, Sharon Sales Melton. I'm looking forward to having our chair, Elamine, and the doctor are currently negotiating on the contracts. We're not quite sure when she'll start. It'll be by July 1st, but it could be sometime before then. That's negotiations going on now. And we will be doing some kind of welcoming to community when she is actually started with us. And I'd love to share that information with this group, so everyone knows where they can meet her and get involved and support the people who are supporting our kids. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kim. And before we go to our next person, I just want to say one thing, and I don't know if Clarence is still around, but like he said, we do this because there's a lot of people that don't get the recognition they deserve. So in January, Human and Hawthorne, we're going to start honoring community members who have contributed to the community's health. And we're going to be looking for individuals who offer, who often need to be recognized for the great work that they're doing, but they're not being recognized. So every month now, even though we recognize our community individuals for this work that they're doing, we're going to throw in now, because a lot of our topics next year are going to depend around, are going to be around the health issues that we're facing. And one of the biggest ones is obesity. And we're going to start out with that. So we just thought that it was good. I talked to the founders and they feel that this is a great idea. So thank you, Clarence, for bringing this to the huddle. Miss Ann?
Hello, everybody. I am your erstwhile IT person, which you can see is not necessarily the best thing in the world, but here I am, and I'm kind of all thumbs today. I am very happy, though, to be able to honor both the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board and Superintendent Al Bangora. There he is. So I first met Al when I started in this job 15 years ago, and Al was the center director for one of the parks, I think Powderhorn, and Al, you can correct me if I'm wrong, of course, but I knew him then. Then he left. And then pretty soon we have a new park superintendent, and it's Al Bangora. And we were all very happy because of Al's career, because of the work that he's done. But also, I have to say that Superintendent Bangora has been so absolutely supportive of our children and young people in his work. And he has worked very hard to get more money into the park system to make sure that our young people are supported. And there's just not even a question about it. It's just what he does. I also have to say that I have never met, really, I've met other park superintendents and I've liked them all, but I've never met anybody who is as big a cheerleader for the park system and what parks can do and what parks are than Superintendent Al Bangora. So I think we're very lucky to have him here in our system, in our city. He's doing a great job. And in a little while, you're going to hear from him about what he's doing. But we're really pleased, Al, to honor you today with this. And I'm going to just quickly share the plaque for the park board, too, because I think it's such a nice plaque. Oh, you didn't get that because I forgot to put it on screen share, but I will here do that. Al is Oh, I can't find it right now, but I'll find it when Al's talking, so we can put it up when he's talking. Sorry, I told you, my day's just not, it's, the hands are not working. So anyway, it is my pleasure, Al, to bring you and the parks into the huddle. Again, you've been here before, but it's good to have you back, and it's good to see all of the parks people who we honor and we care about, because we understand the integral nature of parks to our city and to the health and well-being of our people, our communities. So welcome, Al. And I don't know if anybody wants to add anything, but in a little bit, I'm going to introduce Al to speak. He's our speaker today. Anybody want to add anything?
We would like to hear from him.
Okay, Al, what do you have to say?
I appreciate it. No, thank you very much. You know, it is it's an incredible honor. It really is. These moments mean, for me, it means the world to me, because, you know, to hear from you all, from community, and from the wonderful people that are on this call today, it's just an incredible honor, and I'm really, really grateful. You know, I know you mentioned about Yvette, and I almost get emotional when she started talking about her life, you know, and it's amazing. And so, Yvette, congratulations to you. It's really, I get emotional about, because I love this work. I love this work, and I'm very, very fortunate to be in this role. I came back in 2019, but I spent 19 years prior in the park system, spent 5 years now in this current position. And I think the story that Yvette shared was so powerful, because it shows what parks do and the impact it has on people's lives and on our children's lives. The passion I have for this coming back is so important, because, and I'll just really quickly say this, and I'll share this because I don't want to be a talking head too long here either. But when I was a child in Milwaukee, I had this beat up bike that my dad and my mom got for me. It was a vintage old bike, single speed, right? So it's the pedal speed. And I remember at about 9 years old, I lived on the east side, and my parents, you know, I was a latchkey kid, right? My brother and my sister. And I remember Lake Park and McKinley Park in Milwaukee. And, you know, during the time that we had to do something, we had to find something to do, right? So parents would kind of go, you need to go over here to kind of get involved. And so they would set out the schedule. And I remember getting on my bike at 9 years old from the east side, riding along the parkway, or not even a parkway, it was just a sort of an access point, all the way through the parks along Lake Michigan, all the way to the Art Institute that was right off Lake Michigan. And I rode this, you know, beat up bike, but it was my bike, and I had my own 2 legs, my own power. I got there, 9 years old, this little black child riding through the city, and I'm sorry, but it kind of saved my life, you know. This just means a lot to me, because, you know, when I got to the Art Institute, I was able to get involved in arts programs, and I sat there and I was drawing and looking across Lake Michigan, and there was music playing, and it impacted me to my life. So sorry, I don't know why this kind of came across me, and I just before one time before, but it really meant a lot to me, because then I was able to kind of experience something I never experienced before. I experienced music, art. I was with other kids and children in that space, and as a person, as this, I was the only Black child in that space, and it was part of a park program. And I got into the private industry for a lot of years. Worked for Target Corporation, worked in the private industry. And I remember when I had this opportunity to work for the park system, I leapt into it, because I know what it meant to me, and I know what I wanted to do with my life. And that was at the age of about 26. And I started working at Weber Park, and I worked my way through the park system. And I had this honor of being in this role today. But what it meant for me as a child growing up, the connections I had to the people in the park system that supported me and mentored me, it was amazing. And for me today in this role, why I'm so passionate about this is because I understand the impact on our youth. I know what it means. So thank you for this award. I really appreciate it. It means a tremendous amount to me.
Al, that was absolutely beautiful, and you never need to apologize for your passion. and for your, connection. I feel like crying right now. But anyway, thank you. Anyone else?
He gonna make us all cry on this December day. Mr. Al, you want to take away this main topic for us?
Yeah, good transition, right?
You're muted,
thank you.
Al.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
And the main topic we've already leaned into with the award to Superintendent Al Bangura, but I'll do the formal introduction and give a little aside as well. Al, thank you for the comments and just what you were saying and how you were saying it makes moments like this priceless. It makes it real. And what you have done and what all of our honorees have done is telescoped from their infancy, some talking about their parents, their childhood, their story, and bringing those into the moment that we're in, and recognizing that this moment, this conversation is part of crafting a future. And so that's why it's priceless. That's why it's special. Well, let me say that Al Bangura, Superintendent of Parks for the Minneapolis Parks and Recreation Board, is a nationally acclaimed, independently governed park system with a 9-member elected board of park commissioners. So he runs that. The park board has 7,000 acres of parkland and water. It serves more than 30 million visits annually to its 185 regional and neighborhood parks. And Superintendent Bangura runs the day-to-day operations of Minneapolis Parks. He ensures that park operations and business are carried out and administered effectively in alignment with the board's policy objectives. He maintains fiscal stewardship over the board's $156 million budget, and in addition to the operations of their 14 departments that focus on communications, community connections, violence prevention, park police, planning, asset management, environmental management, forestry, recreation, finance, human resources, IT, a lot. And let me cancel this call here, excuse me. So it's a pleasure to invite and introduce him to be our main speaker. Before I do that, let me give you a personal story, Al, that lets you know how important I know that your work is, and Yvette and all of you. When I first came to Twin Cities back in the early or mid 60s, late 60s, I came from Kansas City. My brother was trying to get me to take him to somewhere over in North Minneapolis, and we were driving up Plymouth Avenue, west on Plymouth Avenue. And neither of us knew the Twin Cities at all. We're from Kansas City. And driving, and I get to where there's a curve in the road just past Washburn. It's like right where I live right now. I'm a few feet from where I'm talking about, but I'm driving west. It's kind of getting close to evening, and the road turns a little bit, and I see this huge, massive chalet, this castle building. And so panic, fear. I'm saying, oh, this is the wrong neighborhood. Danger. So this is a 23, 24-year-old Black young man from Kansas City, new to Minneapolis. Maybe he was 22 years, I'm not sure what it was, and I drive out of what I knew was a Black neighborhood, the near North Side, to a place I'd never been before. And when I see what reminded me of grandeur, and the chalet life that I always witnessed with other people in Kansas City, it hit the panic button. I'm gonna be in danger because they probably don't allow Black people over here. What's the point? The point is you have and you are changing that narrative. And it's not only my experience, but I know that over the years that I've reported, there's been a sense that sometimes our people are not welcome in all of our parks. And that's something that's serious, it's real. And I believe that you and leaders like Kim and other people in the public arena are intentional in shifting that dynamic, creating new narratives so that we feel like we are owners and we are the object and the opportunity and responsible for this message of inclusivity and opportunity that parks mean. So with that, Al Ben-Gur, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. That was really powerful, and forgive me too for I think I'm blaming Yvette for my emotion because she told me that story and it kind of brought back my childhood. So I'm blaming her for that, but very, very proud of her. Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm not going to try to be a talking head too long here. I think there's so many things that the park system is doing and working on. One of the things, and I'm going to shift a little bit because I had some kind of things I want to talk about, which I will share, particularly around near north and north side that are very important. But Al, thank you for the introduction. And this is the park system. It is an incredible, incredible jewel and asset to the city of Minneapolis, and I think and to our residents. And I truly believe this, that this park system is the heartbeat, it's the fabric of the community. Not only do we have 7,000 acres, we have 47 rec centers, and I can go into all the amenities that we have within our park system. It's such an unusual thing. When you go into other park systems, you might have like these large regional centers where there's one center in a particular neighborhood, but we have these smaller, small neighborhood centers, kind of medium-sized, larger ones that are all throughout our park system. One of the reasons we're one of the best park systems in the world, I think, and not only in the country, is because of residents, because of all of you, because of your support for the park system. When you look at the top 5 park systems in the country, of the top 100 park systems, Minneapolis residents pay more to our park system in support of it than probably 95 of those. We're in the top 5 because of their commitment to such a jewel of a system that it is. It is also independent, semi-autonomous, which means that the board is elected by the people. And that's really unique, right? So the people own the park system. And I tell a really quick story. Is at North Commons, Cale Severson, who was the past commissioner, was sitting in the really cool teen room that kind of Yvette and the team kind of designed there. And I walked in, and Cale, these young men were sitting in the room, and they were kind of joking. And walked in, Cale looked at me, and he goes, you see this guy over here, the superintendent? And then the kids go, yeah. He goes, I'm his boss. And I go, okay. So Cale kind of threw out as a joke, and I said, all right, Cale. And I said, hey, I got a civic lesson for you young people. Do you know who his boss is? And I said, you. So they started laughing. They ran out of the room, because they're just cracking up, like realizing we work for the people. We are public servants. I'm a public servant, plain and simple. My work is for the people. And I responded, the commissioners serve and are responsible for the governance of this park system. And I report to them, but they report to the people. And so the people come first in this organization. And the really one unique fact that I would say too, and it's a $156 million operation to run this incredible jewel of a park system. But in a really cool fact, it's the 5th largest bureaucracy. Like if you think about it, it's Minneapolis, St. Paul, Rochester, Duluth, Minneapolis Park and Recreation. That's who we are as a park system and what the importance is to the city of Minneapolis. And I do believe deeply, deeply, deeply the impact that we can make in the lives of our community is so important. And my passion for that is committed, and I'm committed to that. During COVID, it was a very plain example. If I said to everybody on this call or anybody that's listening, what was the one place you could go during COVID that was open and free and you could do whatever just to be present and be in space? It was the park system. It was. I mean, everything else was closed. But what people and their appreciation for at that moment when you walked out, you start to go to these little parklets and spaces, and maybe you haven't experienced certain places in the city. People were out in huge numbers in our park systems. And the uniqueness of being a park system the way we are, I had the authority because of the independence to shut down 21 miles of parkways. So people and residents could spend and go out during COVID and be in those spaces and just be present and just be healthy. And it's a place of activation. It's a place where people can express their First Amendment rights. It's a place where people can play sports, just sit and watch birds, and just take in the air and be present out in nature. And it's so important. So the health and wellness and who we are as a city, I believe deeply, is connected by parks. So I wanted to share that. I also want to share too is that one of the really big things, I know that didn't get a lot of press, my commitment to youth, the first thing in the past board when I came in here was about our youth. How are we going to impact the lives of our youth? And I was very excited about that because I understood what that message was. And I won't get into it because I want to share a few more things and not take too much time. But what I'm really proud to also say is that working with the mayor when I came in here, it took 3 years. We were able to get $2.6 million committed to youth in perpetuity through our general fund and our tax levy for the youth of Minneapolis. $2.6 million forever committed to the youth of Minneapolis. That was just the beginning. There was more that we invested in youth. That $2.6 million hired all of these folks that are working within our rec centers, that are doing the incredible work that they're doing to provide services that are free to youth in Minneapolis. So the lever that was pulled by the city, working with the city, and then my efforts to this, was really to commit to the youth, to say to the youth of Minneapolis, we are committed to you. It's not about just injecting money every once in a while and, you know, fund it when something, a crisis happens. Then we all of a sudden, well, we got to save, we got to put money in for these kids and our youth and get them engaged. Then that becomes more of an intervention and not a prevention. The beauty of the park system was that, and it took a little bit of time, but we worked with the city and the mayor, that if you invest in this vision that we're bringing forward, this will be in perpetuity for our young people, and it will impact their lives, as it did for me, and as I know Yvette just spoke. It's so important. Part of that money, which is going to start to share some information, was in the development of these Spark Studios that we have throughout our system. And if you know anything about the Spark Studios, and I would please encourage you to go to our website. The Spark Studios is a place where it's completely transforming the inside of a building in a particular space that is based and rooted in technology, but that's not why we don't call it tech labs. We call it Spark Studios because we want to spark the imagination of young people. We want to see where it can take them. So we did the first one at Powderhorn. We redid the Powderhorn one. It's an old warming room. And I started way back when I was working at Powderhorn for 6 years. But we remodeled that warming room. It's an incredible state-of-the-art recording studio. It is a place where young people can go and do documentary work, and they can do STEAM. They do flying drones. They create like objects through the 3D printers. I mean, it's amazing. That's one. Second one is over now at Harrison, which is in North Minneapolis. It's a wonderful place. We had a chance to visit it. It's amazing. So imagine the most high-end technology you can think of is in that space. Everything from the best Apple computer screens to they have a recording studio there too. They have everything from STEAM. They do esports. They do design graphic work. They create and build things. It's an amazing space. The third one we just opened up is at Whittier. We just opened it up 2 days ago, in fact. That was the third one. We have 3 more coming. There's going to be a fourth one that's going to be at Luxton. The fifth one's going to be over at Phillips Community Center. And the sixth one is going to be over at Graco Park, our new B3, completely LEED certified building that's going to be across the river. It's amazing. I encourage people to go to our website because I can talk about it for hours about how amazing these spaces are. But when we talk about a youth walking into a building and meeting them where they are, it's about where they are now and how we can reach them. It's not just about athletics, which is incredibly important. It's not just about, our nature-based program, which is very important. But it's about when a child walks into a space, they have something to do immediately when they walk into that building. And that child says, what do you want to do today? Well, I want to do animation. Well, let's do animation. I want to do something on a micron. I want to do a business. I want to build stuff and create space and create a business. Well, let's do that. I want to work with design. I want to look at architecture. We can do that. So those spaces are what I'm bringing and what we're bringing in recreation is rethinking recreation and reimagining it to meet youth where they are today, to compete for their time, right? And so young people, when I say to them, what do you want and what inspires you? Of course it's athletics. We do an amazing job in athletics. But there's a lot of youth that go, I want to learn how to do music. I want to learn how to do work and do TikTok. I want to play esports. Esports is a $1 billion industry. There's kids getting scholarships at school for that. So there's so much stuff that we're trying to do. And that's just one example. The one other one I would give also is our Teen Teamworks program. We're the largest employer of youth in Minneapolis. And if you look at the people that are these youth that are in the Teen Teamworks program, they look like me. They're an incredibly diverse group of young people across the spectrum. And we moved them out of the recreation space. And I said, you know what, we got to really think about the future of these young people. So we took them from underneath the wing of the recreation. We put them into environmental stewardship. The reason we did that is we wanted to create an understanding around environmental opportunities and environmental jobs and green jobs for our young people. And who better do that than the park board? So we talk about water mitigation, we talk about ecology, arborists, right? Air quality, we talk about EV electric grid systems, we talk about all these things. These young people now are out in our parks and they're getting the experience around what we call green jobs. And we're stair-stepping them at the age of 14 to give them these sort of like, almost like certifications, like pass-throughs. It's the same thing we do at Spark Studios, right? We educate them, teach them about animation. We keep working with them until they become experts, and then we move them on to internships or jobs. Same thing within the environmental stewardship area. A lot of these young people then go on to college, and they go into college around environmental or climate resiliency type jobs. And that's the future, right? And so we're doing this for our young people. We just got a grant, and I'm thankful for Senator Fatah and Representative Hassan in supporting of $750,000 for the next 2 years to be spent out to 2027. That's going to have more youth that we now can employ. We're working really strongly in the Cedar Riverside area with our Somali community. But now we're going to be giving more youth opportunities, hiring more youth, giving them better pay, more youth working for us, and more hours. So I will say to you that we just imagine these young people working within the system, putting not only money in their pocket, but also teaching them to grow in this kind of youth environment around environmental work. So I wanted to share that real quickly with you and say, you know, we're working really hard, and there's many other things in the park system. So, and then real quickly, I'm not sure what time I have, but I want to also share with you things that are happening in the near north, the north area. So one of the really big ones, of course, North Commons, right? One of the most amazing, Yvette smiling because she's going to be the leader of this historic, fundamentally transformative rec center at North Commons, the largest investment in the history of the park system at North Commons that the park system is investing in. It's 55,000 square foot of building. It's a $35 million project. It was adopted by the board in October. And if you go to our website again and you click on our website, you can see, I think it's a 159-page document, but it really has an incredible background of what this facility will be in the next several years as we start to build this. Right now, we are working, and I know Sean is here, we're incredibly grateful for the Parks Foundation and the work that they're doing. They've secured already $10 million, and they're working with us as a partner to raise more dollars, of course, to complete this project. We are asking with our delegations, the number one priority for that we've presented in our bonding to the state to support this project. We are it's going to be an amazing place. It has 3 field houses. We're keeping the existing gym. We're building around the current facility that's there. It's going to take several years to build, but it's going to be a transformative, incredible space for our young people. I think it's a 58,000 square foot building, not 55. And we'll start construction. Design will start in 2024. Construction will be pretty much in 25 and 26. We did receive funding from Representative Omar in earmark funding for $2 million. The city through the ARPA funding for about $3 million, which is very exciting. Senator Champion, back when we received bonding, was about 5.1. So we secured around, and then the park board, of course, putting money in. We're around probably about 12 million so far secured. The 10 million from the foundation also raising more funds philanthropically to help us to raise more money. Also, the foundation's putting $1 billion towards community programming and gifts and pledges. That's being a part of this. So it's very, very exciting. And I can go on for hours of this project, but what a fundamental, incredible place this will be to transform the lives of our young people. Not only economic opportunities that we're going to be giving for them, for our community, but also young people that are going to be in this space. Our communities say, we don't have to go out to the suburbs to experience something like we're going to be experiencing in our backyard. It's going to be in our community, and people will come to us, and we can be proud and advocate for that space. And that's going to be incredible. And these field houses, not just about sports. It's going to be about community activities. It's going to be about celebrations. It's going to be a place that's going to be a gathering spot for our community. And we're going to be also redesigning the pool. So all of this is on our website. Please, please, in a moment, take a look at it. It is so incredibly important. I will give another one major one, Upper Harbor, right across the road. It's going to be an incredible site. So the park board, on Wednesday, I think it was the last Wednesday, they have conveyed now the 12.5 acres of parkland to the park board. So we have now signed that. The park board now is going to be redeveloping, and the work is really being done on that from that space. So that conveyance concluded literally 7 years of planning with the park and private development in coordination, of course, with a number of agreements. And so we're working on that right now. And I cannot say thank enough to the NWMO and the work that they're doing with us around this whole stormwater kind of relationship we're having to see the park board, NWMO. It's going to be an incredible ecology, water mitigation kind of work that's being done in that space. It's going to be just amazing. It's $11 million has already been awarded for the first phase of the work. So we are now been doing the work on this project. It's going to be a beautiful park that's going to connect, of course, again, in the north side. It's going to be the space where we're going to have an amazing, amazing place. And so we're very excited about that the park board is working on the park itself. And you will see that work continuing. And again, if you go to our website, you will see the work that's being done there at Upper Harbor. And then there's a few more things that I want to share with you. These are just projects that are happening right now. We are now looking at Twin Lake Shoreline restoration, which is going to be some work. Cliff Swenson from our department is working on that, on design development. North Commons, of course, phase 1 project and improvements. That's beginning. Sumner Field, we're doing basketball court improvements at Sumner Field. Upper Harbor, of course, a new regional park that's being developed. We are working on the 26th overlook. So, I mean, this is really amazing. Think about it. 94 cut off north side from the river. We know this. Development happened, and that's what happened to the north side. And so the park board is working hard, of course, even with the foundation on the 26th overlook that connects, if you go from the 26th all the way to Theodore to connect to the overlook, which now is on the Mississippi. We are now going to be connecting a trail from the 26th overlook over to Ole Olson Park, which now will connect all the way to the Grand Rounds. So you could literally go from North Minneapolis, connect to the 26th overlook, get on that trail that connects along the river to Ole Olson. You'll go past park board headquarters, all the way to Waterworks, and you can go all the way to Minnehaha Falls. I mean, you're connecting out to the Ground Rounds, which is an amazing thing the park board is doing, working with our partners. So very, very exciting project that's happening. And that's called the Ole Olson, the Overlook and Ole Olson Park Trail Connection. That's also on the website. Take a look at that. Willard Park improvements. We're looking at right now pre-planning for Willard Park. Jordan Park improvements is continuing at this point, and that's construction to be completed in 2024 and the pool opening in 2024 at Jordan Park. Really exciting. Victory Park improvements, and that's that splash pad. They just had a conversation about it yesterday. That's we're working towards that, and that work, construction slated for the spring of 2024. Theodore Wirth Regional Park wayfinding is being done right now. That's in design and development. Bethune Park phase 1 improvements. So that is happening. That's field improvements at Bethune. Farwell Park playground improvements is also continuing at this point. That'll be completed. I think it's being completed this year. It should be. Hall Park, which is in construction. Construction is going to be completed this year, so it should be done at this point. I think we're in the improvements for the playgrounds and also the bike skills area. And the last one I will also say is surface and trail planning implementation across the north side. So that's also being done at this moment. So I've rattled off a lot of stuff. My apologies for just rolling on this stuff. There's so much to share. And I wanted to share as much as I could within a short amount of time for you all to say that we are committed as a park system in our investments. And, you know, we have a lot of work that we have to do, our commitment to our communities, to our youth. We're very, very excited about that. And I'm always available for a conversation. Send me emails, any questions. We can get anything you need back to you on a lot of this work. But if you do go to our website, you will find all this information in there. And it's a really good read, and it's amazing work that's being done. So thank you for your time. I'm sorry I kind of rattled through as much as I could, but I appreciate your time letting me do that. So thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. What a great presentation. We have time for some questions, I think. And you can either raise a hand. I think Adam, is your hand up? Or is that an applause?
I'm applauding the efforts. Yes, really,
Okay,
really
all right.
exciting stuff.
Thank you.
So thank
Thank you.
I have a question now.
Go ahead,
Yes, sir.
Sean.
You
Be
know,
nice to me, Sean.
yeah. Oh, without question. You know, I think one of the things that we have a challenge with as the park system, the city of
Yeah.
Minneapolis was really designed around the park system with forefathers who were involved in doing that.
Yeah.
And you know, we've got a situation where we're approximately about every person lives in Minneapolis about a 10-minute walk away from a green space.
Yes.
And we have over is it 180 or 185 parks in our system. I think one of the challenges we face is that we're in such close proximity to green spaces, to parks, that we may even overlook them.
Yeah.
And you don't get a chance to really leverage the value and the experience of a park and how it can help you develop as a person, help you with your physical health and mental health, unless you engage with that green space, either yourself or your children or your friends with you.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, for some people, it's about how do you help people rediscover the parks?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And maybe you could talk a little bit about that, because I think we take it for granted to a degree.
Yeah, a lot of it, and that's a great question, Sean. I think about this all the time. So we do a lot of different things. We have these smaller parks sometimes in our park system, and Yvette can testify to this. And what we try to do is we try to activate those spaces, and we do them through pop-up parks. We do them through different activities that we can connect. And pop-up parks is, if you can imagine, a vehicle with a trailer behind it and drives to a particular space, and they do activation in that space that that maybe people are not necessarily connected to or aware of. I think one of the things that I'm trying to do, and we're trying to do as a park system, is really spend more time, like in these kind of conversations, and talk to people about this wonderful park system and the opportunities and spaces that are available to you. And, you know, I think we have really wonderful people that work within 47 of our rec centers, 47 supervisors, like Yvette, that works in these spaces. And it really is sort of a one-on-one connection. And because you can put things on emails, or you can do it on Instagram, you can do things through TikTok, whatever it might be, YouTube, all these things. But a lot of times people are not necessarily searching for that. They don't really necessarily know that. So I really truly believe in personal connections, and I really truly believe in ways that we can make that that connection personally. The stories that you'll hear from a lot of our staff, as even I talked about today, and as Yvette talked about, it's how you kind of have those moments where you meet someone that is connected to this incredible park system. And that's like all of you that are on this call, right? You have your experience. And so how do you advocate and talk to other residents and talk to our youth and say, hey, did you know, right? How many didn't really know about the Spark Studios, right? As we're building them, maybe I'm just conveying it for the first time here. So then you start to go out and you start to say, well, let me now talk to you and tell you about this opportunity that is in your community that you might not know about. I was talking to, maybe we talked about the faith leaders when we were at North Commons, I think it was, in fact. I think it was at, we were sitting there, and Tom was with me, and we had we popped up a video on that meeting, but it was more about North Commons. And I remember all of these amazing leaders in the community had no idea about the things we were doing within the park system. And I was kind of shocked. And they didn't know. And so there we were sharing it, and they were like, this is incredible. We didn't know this. And so I think a lot of it is really kind of getting out there and just really making those connections for me to be more present to, and to share the wonderful opportunities that we have in the park system. TPL is really interesting too, because TPL, we have less than a 10-minute walk shed, right? So we're on the top 3 in the country. We've been number 1 for a long time, where people can actually step inside the door within 10 minutes to get to these wonderful spaces. But I really do believe it's going to be just more of these communications, talking, engaging community, and sharing this information so they know what's outside their door and how they can connect to it.
Got time for one more question, but Superintendent, I just want to thank you. This has been a wonderful, wonderful presentation for you and your team, Sean, Yvette. So thank you. Is there another question? Princess?
Yeah, I had a question. Thank you for all of I took so many notes. I'm excited about it. I'll be on the website.
Yeah.
Working with Appetite for Change and just traveling to other states. And Sean, when you talked about engagement, I'm wondering, are there any ideas in the makings for us to use agriculture or urban farming as a way to re-spark that engagement around park space? Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good point. If you actually go to our website, we do have urban gardens throughout our parks. I'm sure you know that we engage community around this, and we do have, I can't remember how many they are now, so I do apologize. I probably could put up quickly, but we do have urban farming and urban agriculture at several park locations throughout the city, which engages community that they sign up for it. They then are able to have a plot in very specific places around our community within our parks, and that's where they grow vegetables and they take care of those particular gardens. And it really is a wonderful program that is community-based, that has designated spaces for people to go out and garden and do agriculture and raise food, for their community, for themselves. I know many actually grow those vegetables and things, and they actually then share that, and they then give it to food shelves, and then they do community dinners and amazing work. I used to work at youth farmers market at Powderhorn, where they had their plot up there in the hill when I was first there. So we have multiple sites that we have already now that we're doing urban farming and gardening within our park system. The other one, which is really, really amazing, at JD Rivers. If you go there and you see the youth farm project that's there, that they grow vegetables and they have a farm project, I wish I could show you it. JD Rivers, if you go to that space, our young people are out there growing vegetables, growing, spinach, and I mean, everything you can imagine. They're growing it there. They're selling it there. Their hands are in the dirt. There's a whole new concept design for that particular space, which will become almost like an education center around agriculture and farming and growing vegetables. And I could spend some time. I promise you, I will send you the information on that. It is an incredible. We need advocates to talk about what this space is going to be. But yes, we do have spaces and places for that, and we are engaging community in agriculture and growing. And the JD Rivers location through our environmental stewardship team is doing incredible work around that particular space where these young people are farming, and it's beautiful. And so anyways, yes, that'll, and I want to share more with you. I'm just kind of tip the iceberg a bit, but yeah, thank you for that question. And we are really engaged in that. So.
All right, thank you. Let's, I want to keep the agenda moving. We're close to closing. I wanted to call on, I think, Joelle is here from Loppet. Maybe you've got a comment or update, Joelle.
Yeah, thank you. What a rich amount of sharing today. Thanks to all who have spoken. I, like you said, I'm here with the Loppet Foundation, working with Deanna Perkins, who I hope some of you know, and Claire Wilson, the executive director there. Deanna leads the Adventures programs, which has been really focused on engaging young people at Theater Worth Park and at the Trailhead. You probably know the roots of the Trailhead started with Nordic skiing, and they've done a lot in that area, but they're really expanding through programs like the Adventures program into a wide range of activities. So I am a consultant working with them on doing more for older adults. So we have what we are calling an age-friendly Loppet Foundation grant through the state of Minnesota. And right now we're in a planning phase. The funding could only be used for planning, so that's what we're doing. We're engaging, especially with communities on the edges of the park, North Minneapolis in particular. We've been visiting senior residences like Rainbow Terrace and Lindell Manor, Heritage Park, and others. And then also convening at the Trailhead older adults through what is called Senior Socials. And that's a partnership with the Y across from North Commons. I don't know if you've connected with Tanisha Randolph at Forever Well at the Y. She's doing amazing work with a group of seniors, and kind of building on that group, we've had several senior socials down at the trailhead, which have engaged older adults, socially, provided a meal, and then interacted some with the outdoors there. We want to do more of that, but right now we're kind of in an information gathering phase and connecting with community partners. So really just wanted to let you know that this work is in the planning. We have an advisory council, and Sean is a great contributor to that council. So thank you, Sean, for that work. But we're really excited. The planning will wrap up in March of 2024. And so we'll just kind of look forward to doing more for older adults at Theater Worth. If any of you have ways of connecting with older adults, we're defining as 55 up, so a pretty low threshold. I fit in that category. If you have access to older adults in North Minneapolis specifically, we have an online survey or a paper form of the survey that we would welcome any additional input. We've had about 82 older adults, all from North Minneapolis, provide input already, so we're excited to have that feedback. And one of the things, Alan, your presentation, you said just taking in the air. That's some of what, when we ask older adults what they want to do, it's things like that. And a lot of it is around also connecting socially. And I think that's a big focus for all of us these days, is how to keep older adults engaged in community life. So we're excited about the opportunity to do the work and would welcome any questions you have today, or just stay tuned. We'll make sure we keep this group and others in the community informed of what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we're crushing for time now, and Diane has several things to mention before we close at 9 o'clock. Diana?
Yes, Kathy, we're not going to ignore your question, but Al, if you could look in the chat and respond to her in the chat around her question, that would be great. We are getting close to time, and there's a couple things that I do have to talk about before we leave. First of all, next year, like I said, a lot of our topics will focus around the health aspect going into the future. And then I need to have Miss Ann, Mr. Al, and Mr. Clarence just take 2 minutes and reflect on what this year huddle has meant to them, because our founders are going to listen to this tape as well as General Mills. So, Ann, you can go first.
In a job like mine, being an executive director of an intergovernmental organization, it's really easy to just sit in my office or home and go to meetings and tell people what to do. It's kind of supposedly my job. But coming to the huddle has always been a way for me to connect with community and really hear what's going on for folks. And that is just invaluable to me. And this year is no exception. We have had some great topics this year, some really great speakers, and people coming into the huddle to give their perspectives and their input. And it really means the world to me to be able to be here. It really grounds me in my work. Otherwise, it's hard for me to just go back and work on things like budgets and grant reports and things like that. So I appreciate being here, and I'm really looking forward to next year. I think we have some good things planned already. So I look forward to seeing all of you.
Thank you. Mr. Al?
Well, as a content creator, as a journalist and a convener, this has been a wonderful opportunity to meet with and hear from thought leaders, activists, players in the development of community. And it's been a pleasure to be able to capture the content and share it out again on the Insight News social media platforms, as this program will be. And as we proceed in the future, we envision this being one of our major sources of news coverage, because like today's program, all of you who've spoken today are newsmakers, and each of you is bringing news. And our objective will be to figure out how we can staff up to generate news stories based on the things you're saying. So this is great. And I think our community is richer for it.
Thank you, Al. Before I let Mr. Clarence take us home, I just want to say I too am pleased to be a part of this group, one of the co-founders. And like I said in the beginning, I'm looking for, I might not be here, but maybe 20 more years, because this is rich in the robust conversation that we have. It's needed. Mr. Clarence, you can wrap us on up.
I will do that, but I'm gonna ask Ms. Princess, I'm gonna give you 30 seconds, Princess, because what I would say would be part of what she's gonna say.
Yes, I was just attempting to put in the chat that on Monday, December 11th, we are talking about substance use disorder and hosting a town hall at the Center for Changing Lives. That's going to be from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. We have Dr. Rhonda Marie Chacolas and Pearl Evans and Edward just talking about the new policy changes around substance use disorder. And I'm going to work on putting that in the chat while Clarence wraps up. Thank you for listening.
I want to tell you from the human perspective, this has been one of the most phenomenal years we've had. It's been an honor to be working with Hawthorne. The depth of people that has been on this program, the information that's been shared, has really helped us and helped me personally to be able to better serve the community. And so my hats off again to Diana and to Ann and to Al for the depth of information that has been brought forth. And I look forward to 2024. We're excited about making this work, and we thank you for being a part of the solution.
And I have one more thing to say. I see that there are 19 people. Is Mr. Bill still on here? Is he still here? Okay. Well, Mr. Sean, I just want you to know that this is December and this is our celebration month. And each and every one of you, we talked about that breakfast. You will receive a gift card from me to go get a breakfast. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
So you will have breakfast from the huddle. You will get a gift card emailed to you, okay? And with that being said, everybody have a nice holiday. I will see you next year. I have all of your information. Al, this will be in 2 recordings and I'll send it to you ASAP.
Awesome.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great
Bye.
day.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. Congratulations, Al.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.